Hey everybody, welcome to the Magic Weekly News Update for October 8th, 2017 on the Leek. I'm John as always, and this is another somewhat light on news week. With Worlds happening right now, that's where most of the focus has been. So this week is just a few quick tidbits, and then of course, story time. Up first, the Curmudgeon posted his usual card obsolescence chart for Ixalan. If you haven't seen these before, this Reddit user goes through the latest set and finds cards that have been made completely obsolete by a newly released card. For example, Warclamp Mastiff, a 1/1 creature hound for a single white mana that has first strike, it has been made completely obsolete by Encampment Keeper, which is exactly the same card, plus the 8-mana Keeper ability. The most hilarious inclusion on this chart is Colossal Dreadmaw being made obsolete by Carnage Tyrant. It's not often that a card is made immediately obsolete in the same set, but a very cool chart. I definitely recommend you go and check it out. Some more quick MTG Arena news. We learned this week that the closed beta will be starting in November and have rolling waves of beta invites. As well, the NDA will be lifted in January. There's been some confusion about this because the word beta has really been kind of bastardized over the past few years in video games. Nowadays, a lot of betas that people are familiar with are basically just demos. You get to play the game early, content creators get to show it off, and the game is already basically finished, and no input that you give is really going to change anything. The MTG Arena beta sounds like it's going to be a true beta. The game is not done. The game is likely well over 6 months from being done. This beta is meant for people to test it out, find bugs and pain points, and report them. This is a true beta. And like most true betas, there is a non-disclosure agreement that you'll have to agree to in order to take part. That likely means absolutely no screenshots, no videos, no streams, or even discussion of the beta if you're a member of it. If you do, you will be removed from that beta and possibly even face prosecution, lawsuits, etc. Some people are balking at this, but that's just the way things work. There's a multitude of reasons for NDAs, and 2 or 3 months is honestly a pretty short time anyways to have it. We'll live through it. If you're interested in signing up for the beta, head on over to playmtgarena.com, sign up, and cross your fingers that you get in. Finally, a piece of news that I reported on a few weeks ago, but with some confirmation this time. The Planeswalker redirection rule will in fact be changing, quote, soon. Mark Rosewater on the Blogatog said that the rule will be going away, and instead cards will specifically tell you that they can target Planeswalkers, and you'll target them directly. All the old relevant cards will have the word players changed to players or Planeswalker. So Lightning Bolt will be errated to say Lightning Bolt deals 3 damage to target creature, player, or Planeswalker. This will be a huge amount of errata for sure, but it's as simple as understanding that player on any pre-2008 cards involving damage means player or Planeswalker. The only slight confusion I could see already exists anyways, which is that Planeswalkers can't be targeted by life loss effects. Presumably this means that we'll never really ever see direct damage cards that only target players, and that's not really that big of a problem because they never existed anyways, because all player targeting direct damage spells can be redirected currently. All in all, I'm pretty happy with this change. It's going to clear things up, and I'm all for rules clarifications in Magic. With the news out of the way, it's on to story time. Now, I strongly recommend you read this week's story because it is a ton of exposition. And really, really good exposition at that. The story really deals with trauma and imposter syndrome and mental health. And it's Mental Health Week, actually. So I definitely strongly recommend that you go and check this story out. This story, titled Something Else Entirely, picks up with Jace, Vraska, and the rest of the crew of the Belligerent a few days after the raid on the vampire's ship. Things are great. Jace is enjoying learning sailing and is completely accepted by the crew. The crew lands at High and Dry, a floating city made of thousands of broken ships. It's a city where pirates and travelers can trade, drink, and just generally hang out. One goblin from the ship in particular, named Breeches, is extremely excited to be docking and continues to shout, ale and cards, until he's reminded by the helms mage that he still owes her for the last port. So he changes his shouting to debt and ale and cards. Jace, Vraska, and Malcolm, the ship's navigator, go to a different bar called Boatswain's Rear. It's your typical dirty and dank bar filled with scoundrels of all kind. Vraska asks Jace what he thinks of the place, and new Jace is completely fascinated by it. Vraska reveals to Jace her mission to find the Golden City and shows him the compass. We learn that the immortal sun was stolen from the vampires by a winged being, Ugin, Bolus? Who knows? And taken across the sea. Jace hears of Merfolk's thoughts in reaction to this, who is the Merfolk spy that helped warn the rest of the tribes in the last week's story. A short while later, he asks Vraska if he can actually read minds, which she confirms, but tells him that her mind and her crew's minds are off limit, which he agrees to. Vraska tells Jace a bit about Ravnica, where they're both from, and Jace, wishing that he could remember it, catches a thought from Vraska and conjures an illusion of the city. Vraska is very clearly homesick for Ravnica, and Jace asks her to teach him more about the city. Later that night, Jace, struggling with the noisiness of telepathy and his discovering of these new powers, has his first flash of a memory. The memory is of Elhammerit, his teacher on his true home plane of Vryn, on the ground after having his mind destroyed by Jace. Interestingly, a memory that pre-Ixalan Jace no longer had. This memory leads Jace to ask Vraska if he's destroyed minds before, which she confirms he has. He's disgusted by this knowledge, but explains that he feels that you are who you decide to be, and that his past isn't important because he can choose who he is now. Vraska teaches him more of Ravnica and tells him about her time spent in the prisons of the Azorius, her near-death, and her planeswalker spark, though she doesn't explain planeswalking, just that she used magic to travel far away. As far as Jace knows, Ravnica is a city somewhere across the sea, and there are no other worlds. Doesn't quite know that yet. Vraska tells Jace how her employer has promised her the leadership of the Golgari, and Jace believes she fully deserves it, as she's shown herself to be a great leader, saying that he's proud to know her. And Vraska replies she's proud to know him as well. As the weeks pass, Jace works on the compass, takes it apart, and eventually solves the puzzle by realizing that the compass found him the day that he attempted to planeswalk. He attempts to planeswalk again, still not really knowing what he's actually doing, and sure enough, the compass spins wildly and points directly at him. He realizes that the energy in that attempt was found by the compass, suggesting that the Golden City must be a huge source of energy, and likely is even the source of the planeswalking power. Jace brings the compass up to deck to tell Vraska, only to find that the ship is heading towards shore, a vampire ship is approaching, and a massive storm is brewing, no doubt the storm that we saw Tishana and Kumena conjuring. All of these things are too much, and Vraska orders abandoned ship as the belligerent smashes into the rocks. That's going to wrap it up for the weekly news update for Storytime. As I said, go and read that story. It is a absolutely amazing piece of prose. Love it, love it, love it. Quite possibly my favorite story of the entire set, and of the last several years, probably. Great story. Go check it out. Let me know what you think of the news this week. Let me know what you think of the story, and let me know what you think of anything you want down in the comments below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at @TheManaLeek. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at Facebook.com/TheManaLeek, Twitch.tv/TheManaLeek, and Patreon.com/TheManaLeek. If you like the content, click that thumbs up button. Click subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see more. And if you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see you all next time.